Hey, this is Richard back at you. Today we're going to be discussing 350 lockup conversion. A lot of people don't do this, but if you know how to do it, you can do it. This is a little training we did about 5 years ago on a little rat rod. It's got a little 383 stroker motor in it. They spray a little nitrous and stuff like that. It's lasted a long time. He's been really happy. Come in the other day, I needed a service. The service had a lot of clutch material in the pan, so we decided to go ahead and go through it. Now, this does have a high stall converter in it. It is a 13-inch. It's basically a factory stall converter that come out like in the 454 Chevelles and stuff like that. How you can identify it is it doesn't have any ribs right here. See these ribs? There is no ribs from here to here, and that's how you can identify that torque converter. So, and then they can go in there and change the stalls a little bit on it too and get it even farther over factory. So these work really nice for the street. But anyway, what we got here is the 350 lockup tranny case. What we did is we went in here and modified this thing to take a non-lockup input shaft and pump assembly and forward drum to make this tranny a non-lockup. And now if you get over here and look, this gives you a general idea what the stator looks like in the input shaft on a lockup style. This is your non-lockup. Now there is a bunch of difference in the case and the valve body and stuff to convert this over to make this work. But if you've been doing it a long time, you know how to do it, and I'm going to show you how. So, get this apart.
Might need a big notepad.
Actually, it's not too shabby. It's not too bad. Now, this is one of our automatic units that does have the manual capability. He does like to shift it himself. If he does like to drive it just on the street too and just let it shift on its own. I'm not sure how old he is. I think he's like 65 or something like that.
He's an older gentleman that likes a little bit of speed.
Yes, he does.
And he drives it everywhere too.
Governor still looks brand new. Gear still looks really nice. We always replace these gears no matter what. They get brittle and they break real easy. So now a lot of people don't see these. These go on the shaft right here to seal your yoke from fluid coming out of the back of the yoke where the little weep hole is. This goes on here tight, and there's an O-ring in here that seals the outer side of the yoke, and it doesn't let fluid go down the splines to get to the vent in the back of the yoke. So this is a little loose, so we'll have to tighten it up and get another one and put it on there. It's a lot tighter. So this thing's been beat on for a long time. He hits every drag night he can. He ain't missing one that I know of. And he don't want to miss this one this weekend, he says, so we're gonna make it happen for him.
I think he does a little bracket racing too, doesn't he?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, he has fun with it.
Now if you notice, this does have a red stripe modulator. It looks kind of pink now after the years, but it is a red stripe, and these are the high pressure ones. They do have an adjustment screw. You can screw it into how early or how late you want it to shift. So they work really nice. Got your little hole over here. You get in there and knock that and get that snap ring right there. There you go. A lot of people try to take and bend these like this to get them in. Makes it easier to get in, but let me tell you what, if you do that, it'll pop out. So never bend these. The 700s, I see people doing that stuff all the time too. On the servo on the side, you don't want to do that, because they will pop out and get you one day. There's not going to be any spring in this. Now you remember I showed you on my last video on how, but it explains how to build it back to make a performance unit, so there is no spring in here. Like I said, it's got a standard 350 pump and input shaft coming out. Now it does have a little bit of silicone on here. It looks like our silicone, but I guarantee we didn't do that.
No. It's like I tried to reseal it again.
Yeah, he did. He tried to service it home. He tried to figure out what was wrong with it. The cork gasket works really nice.
That's what I was about to say.
No glue, nothing, just really cleaned up surface. And they work really good. Put them on with the speed handle and you don't have no worries. Now he does use the passenger cable and stuff on this. It's hooked up to the carburetor. So when you push on the gas pedal, it puts it on the floor and hits passing gear. You can stake these to where they only go into the first stage of the spring like that. And then there is a second stage like that. So you put it to the first, do not go into the second if you're going to make it a fully manual and get rid of the passenger cable. If you go into the second stage, it's going to be in passenger and will not shift. It'll mess with it probably even if it's manual, so not something you want to do. Now it's going to take your standard filter, 350, 350 and lockup, they're all the same, 250, all the same. Now you get over here and you get your lockup solenoid. Okay, and then you get over here to your pressure switch. This thing, if I turn it, it'll have a number on it, 45, 52, whatever. And believe it or not, it goes by mile an hour. Even though it's going by pressure, it even goes about the same as mile an hour. So if you got a 45, it'll go at 45 mile an hour. 52, it'll go at 52 mile an hour. And that's how they control it. So it goes to the brake switch and all that type of stuff too. So they take this solenoid off right here, and then you take and plug it. Now this has been in there a long time. That screen normally stays in there. But you can see I put a piece of paper over there, a piece of gasket. I bolted it down and plugged that hole. Okay. If you notice here, this is your lockup valve. It sticks out the end right here. I blocked it forward where it does not move. That's just a good way to see it right there. Now, it almost looks like this training has water in it, the way some of the gasket looks. But basically, you block this valve forward, and you can see it sticking out here through the end where it doesn't move. That's how you know you got it blocked all the way forward. Okay, and this is your lockup valve right here. Okay. Now, believe it or not, a 350 lockup valve body and non-lockup valve body are identical, except this pressure sensor right here holds. Some other 350s will not have it. You can actually, the places where you can drill it out, tap it, and put it there if you want. So. I was telling you before in another video, when you look through this hole right here, if you see a green spring, it's just got a factory pressure spring in it. If you get an orange, a yellow, or a black like this one is, it's 90% of the time it's a shift kit spring, which this does have a shift kit spring in it. Okay. Now, I'm not a fan of shift kit plates and stuff like that. I use the standard lockup plate. But you modify it identically to the same as before. As your standard 350, you come in here and weld this valve right here. You take it where it don't move. Okay? You come in here, you drill these two holes. Excuse me, let me grab it. You come in here and you drill these two holes out bigger. 130, 140 thousandths, big enough. You leave this check ball out. You leave this check ball out. You put these two back in. This is a stock plate. Now it is a lockup plate, it is different, and the case is different. Okay, the configuration is different, the gaskets are different, everything's different.
It did get water.
This tranny's had water in it before. Anytime you get a gasket that won't come off like this, water causes that. So this is going to be a really pain to clean and get off. I had to put it in the washer for a long time. But if you notice here, no check ball. You notice here, no check ball. You notice here, check ball, check ball. Okay? So that's all the modifications you have to do to the valve body. Mainly is here. Plug this hole, block this valve. Everything else you don't have to do. Okay? Then you're going to come in here and you're going to take this pump out. Now this is when the secret is revealed right here on how to do this. Because not everybody will tell you this little secret, but this is pretty fun. I enjoy myself.
Tips are welcome.
Now you notice we seal all of our bolts in on every unit we do that leaves this shop.
Yes, sir.
Whether it has a gasket or not, we double seal them. We don't want to come back, period. We want to put the unit in and be gone, and the customer bring us their friend or something like that to do another job. So now this is a standard 350 pump. There's no modifications done to it at all, zero. Put new bushing, pump gear, seal and stuff like that in it. Put high pressure rings here. Leave all 3 rings on. You notice on a regular 350, you'd leave that ring off there. Leave all 3 rings on this time. And you're going to come in here. You're going to count these holes over right here. And you see this bolt hole. Do you see this hole right here? I took and notched it out right there. See that spot right there I notched out? That used to be all the way up to here. I took a screwdriver and just hit it with a hammer. And I knocked me out a spot just like that right there. Everything else in this tranny will fit. All you got to do is put a new forward drum right here. Let me get this out.
Almost got me with his elbow.
Now, this is your intermediate clutches in second gear. Remember me telling you about how if you leave this weight out, this tranny will shift too hard? Never leave it out and stack it with 2 steels. It'll blow the pump plumb out because this piston right here is applied second gear. Every time it goes to second gear, it tries to push that pump out this way. So it'll physically blow these threads plumb out of this pump trying to get out of there if you leave this wave out. This tranny will shift so hard into second that you don't want to ever move the shifter. So that's a no-no right there. Got your engine braking band. Looks really good for 5 years, that's for sure.
I was about to say, dang, Pops.
Look good.
Looking good. No sign of
The
slip.
high gear clutch here. That's high gear is just about gone. Now, since this was done such a long time ago, it hasn't been upgraded to the 5 clutch piston, but we will be upgrading it. So we'll get that done too. Now here goes one of these Teflon bushings. Our bushing kits will come with a brass one that goes in there, or you can use the Teflon one like that. I like the Teflon one. It doesn't scar the shaft right here as much as your bushing does, and it works really good. So now here's the forward clutches here. To move the vehicle forward, you notice we have a wave plate in here to soften the engagement. If you got a real high stall converter, you can take the wave out and add another steel. Give it a lot firmer engagement, but I don't care about my car engaging really hard. As long as it engages good and holds, I'd rather leave the wave in there. So
Also, this did not move at all, forwards or backwards. We had to pull it in with a four-wheeler.
Yeah,
so.
I think all the clutch material started coming off.
Okay.
What happened is this trainer's had water in it.
Yeah.
We don't know where he's getting water at or how, but I'm gonna have to talk to the customer on it. Like I said, we did it 5 years ago, and somehow this unit got water in it.
Up at the top. Right there. There we go.
Mainly look for wear points where your bushing's running and stuff. Look for any type of wobble in your gears. Brush washer play, you know, stuff like that. Now they do make these in brass or plastic. Either one works really nice. I like to just stay with the brass in a race car because if the training gets really hot, it's not likely to melt the plastic out or the brass out. Bushings still look brand new, like never been used, huh?
Yeah, it looks good. It definitely doesn't look like no 5 years, but
Oh, dang, ooh, look here. I just noticed this is crazy. That's why when we tear these down, it's really hard to inspect everything because they kind of go through kind of fast. But when we come back and go through them, when we build them back, you notice this input shaft that's exploded in this drum right there.
Yeah.
That piece physically goes down in there.
Gotcha, yeah.
So it was fixing a grenade whether it quit moving or not because of the water inside. So maybe we saved this torque converter and stuff like that by catching a little early. Okay, still looks really good.
That's good.
Low reverse clutch still looks pretty decent. Not bad for 5 years of beating on it. Makes about 500 horsepower, something like that. Got the roller bearing lower ring gear, which I really like to keep the thrust washer out of there. Does have a smaller sprag. We'll be updating it to the bigger sprag. So 5 years ago, big difference between then and now. But,
a lot of upgrades.
yeah, we'll get this thing back together. Just remember, knock this piece out right here. Plug this hole with your solenoid. Lock this valve forward. Just do a regular lockup, a regular 350 pump in it, and a regular 350 input shaft.
Put your rings on.
Leave your rings on. Because believe it or not, on a 350 lockup, if you leave this center ring off right here, you won't have lockup either. So we always like to leave that ring on and plug that circuit up. So we'll get this thing back together for him, get it in. We're excited, get him going. If y'all need anything, give us a holler. Precision Transmissions.